Okay, welcome everyone. I hope I am audible. So today we are going to discuss two aspects. Learning objectives for today's session are to figure out how stamp duty works, to be confident about stamp duty applicable on different kinds of commercial agreements. And we started with the most important ones. So this is a key learning objective for today. And given that everybody had requested to have a session on this, today we are going to explore, how what your confidence levels are after having done this exercise and what do you know about stamp duty after this exercise. So that is one. And the second is that there will be another writing assignment which will be given to you, and we can discuss how you can go about performing writing assignments and take your writing skills, your research ability, and your ability to structure articles to the next level. So it's not that we are going to repeat the same session which we had last time. It will always enable you to take your ability to the next level. So let me see from the people who are here, who are the people who've submitted the assignment. Okay, a lot of you haven't submitted the assignment though, and you are here in the class. So did you make an attempt to submit? Where did you get stuck? I think Nishwita was speaking to me about where she got stuck. Somewhere in the plagiarism detector is where she got stuck. What about the rest of you? Would you like to share what happened? Did you attempt the assignment or whatever came in the way? Please share with me on chat. Whoever did not submit, there are quite a few of you. There are 19 people in the session and about 7 of you have submitted. So I really like to know what you were like where you got stuck. Okay, Jyoti wasn't able to calculate the duty. Someone by the name of admin has doubts in the Delhi Stamp Act. Okay. Someone by the name of user. Okay, why don't you say your names also so that we can identify you? Someone by the name of user says you had time constraints. Got it. See, time constraints will never go. So you'll have to figure out how you can squeeze in the time necessary. Sometimes you will have more time to do assignments, sometimes you'll have less time. So you still have to sort of hack your way through it and figure out in less time how do you get an assignment done. Lalit will submit tomorrow. Gagan is not able to figure out exact name in Stamp Duty Act. Okay, good. So that was the purpose of the exercise, Gagan. You would have gotten stuck in places, right? And that's why we gave you the exercise so that even if you falter, once we discuss and have a detailed feedback, after that you have some level of confidence. So now let's figure out how we will discuss the submissions. I will take maybe a couple of your submissions from the people who are present and discuss those. But each one of you who has not submitted, but you said that you were not able to calculate the stamp duty, please keep your questions in mind. And in fact, you can put them on chat right here, and we will answer those questions as I'm discussing the part that is relevant to your question. At that time, when I keep your question in mind, I'll be able to answer it. So everybody who is unable to identify the exact name in the Stamp Duty Act, meaning the exact entry, I guess, that you were not able to find the exact entry for the agreement in the Stamp Act, or you were unable to calculate the stamp duty, or you have any other doubt because you attempted the exercise and you got stuck somewhere with the exercise, then please write it right away in the chat. Swati Patil, for loan agreement you had trouble. So Swati, why don't you write specifically which were the agreements? You have given an example of loan agreement. Which other agreements did you have trouble finding answers to? Because we had a very specific list. So if we can do this specifically, then at least your knowledge with respect to those agreements and clauses will be clear. There will be no doubt about it, right? So let's do it that way, no? Hypothecation, okay? Because then we'll have a focused inquiry. We will look more at those. IP in Delhi Stamp Act, Lakshmi, okay? IP licensing and assignment, you mean, Lakshmi? Yes, no, let me know. Okay. So is it licensing or assignment? They are usually similar. Shareholder, subscription, and IP in all acts. Got it. So many of you have got IP right because you found out the licensing provision where it says copyright licenses are exempt and the others are, for others you found out. I saw a lot of your solutions where I found this to be the case. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to take the attendance quickly. Give me about 5 seconds. Yeah. So let me now see whose solution I'll put up. What is the difficulty with the Delhi Act? Delhi Act, let's see, I'll put it up on screen. What is the issue with the Delhi Act? Did you buy a physical copy or are you using this online link? Could not find license of intellectual property. Okay. So I'm going to use this, but this is not always accurate, okay? Keep that in mind. So look at this. Conveyance as defined under section 210 not being a transfer charged or exempted under number 62. So either it's not charged or it should not be covered under section 62. So entry 62. I just thought I'll discuss this offhand directly. Transfer whether with or without consideration, same as in schedule 1. So this is schedule 1A and then you need to go to the schedule 1 part of it and then see. You know what you should buy for Delhi? You should buy the rates of stamp duty. There's a thin book that is published by Universal. So you should buy that one. Or you can look at, if you're in Delhi, otherwise you'll have to look at a multi-state commentary that will have it. So what does schedule 1 mean? I'll just show you. This rates of stamp duty is actually schedule 1A. Can you see this? So there's a standard schedule 1 and every state when they have amended the stamp law have inserted a new schedule. Either they pass their own act where they have their own rates and everything is their own, or they use the same Indian Stamp Act, which is a pre-independence act, but they add their own schedule, which is basically their own list of stamp duty. Okay. Now, what you need to figure out is if it's an assignment, then it is called a conveyance. The only question is whether your license will be called a conveyance or not. Okay, so trademark assignment, IP assignment will get covered above in that section. Because assignment is clear, it's a conveyance, it is a transfer in title. Where is 23? 1 second. But the challenge becomes when it's just a license. So copyright license is exempted, there is clearly written. See, assignment of copyright is exempted. Does that by implication mean that trademark or patent assignment is covered here? Yes, it gives you that hint, right? That this is covered here. Now, to double check, you will see what does section 210 say about conveyance. So now this is the rates of stamp duty, right? Now Stamp Act has not changed. So you will look at Indian Stamp Act. You can say Indian Stamp Act Delhi. If you do Delhi, you should get the act, but not just the rates. So let's assume that this is the one right now, okay? Okay, not working. I need to use the online one to teach because I cannot use a physical one. I don't have a direct display of scanner. So this is the Stamp Act. So this is a Delhi government website. Doesn't mean it needs to be accurate, can be old also. But let's just see what conveyance means here. So everybody who has had this issue with the IP related agreements, you'll get clear. Conveyance includes a conveyance on sale and every instrument by which property, whether movable or immovable, is transferred inter vivos, meaning between living persons, and which is not otherwise specifically provided for by Schedule 1. So where property is transferred. And they're talking about sale, okay? So licensing is not transferring property. which means it will go under, yeah, Amrita, I'll check with your assignment. So which means the license will go under a normal agreement, Article 5, residuary clause. Okay. And assignment, however, for the states which have that clause, which we saw in the Delhi Stamp Act, assignment of other forms of IP will be treated as coming within article or the entry number 23. Now I'm going to share a couple of layouts. Okay, I saw Amrita's, yes, Parul service contracts will be covered under Article 5. I want to share now somebody's assignment. So one quick feedback, Amrita, I had looked at yours. So can everybody, including Amrita, tell me that how can this assignment literally be worth $1 million? So look, when you're doing your work now, you want your research to be presentable and very professional. It needs to be spot on, right? So Amrita, you have spent so much, you've taken care and you've spent time to make these complex tables. But do you see it looks complicated? Is there a way to avoid the complication, the messiness? There is there's too much happening, there's too many lines, it's not too simple, right? Now there are some of the drafts which are very simple. I'll share that also with you so that you also get a feel of what drafts can be like. And moreover, why should it be clear enough and why should it be clean? So look at this draft, for example. This is Swati Ranjit's draft. So now this is very clear. It's clean, no? There's an agreement here written and there's the act, article, and what is the rate. So do you see the difference in the presentability? Now I'm saying that, see, it's not about how good you are at all. It is about whether you took care to make sure that this is presentable, or whether the thought occurred to you that this is probably not presentable. Let me spend some time thinking how I can make it more presentable. And nobody will tell you in a professional environment that you need to do this. But you still need to do this because you want your work to be relied. You want your work to be great. It should last for the next 50 years if it can. Now laws keep changing, but that's the mindset you need to have. The quality of your work has to be like that people can rely on it. 1 second, I need to share one piece of research which you will like. Okay, so why am I emphasizing on this? Now I'll give you an example. So this is a small document on electronic signatures in India, unconnected with your assignment. Okay, it has been published by Adobe, and who has written it? It has been written by Trilegal, September 2017. Okay, now if you look online for the validity of e-signatures, this is going to be one of the most critical documents that will pop up. Okay, now you need to see what's the look and feel it has. Now you could have written a Word article, normal plain text article, or you could have written something like this. But this is published in 2017. Now many things could have happened after that, but this stands as the very neat piece of work which you can still use to understand what is happening. In-house counsels use it when they are new to actually understand how to go about executing documents online. Now I'm saying that why can't your document on stamp duty, what prevents your document from on stamp duty being that epic and that seminal that if you publish it, people keep coming to it because this is the only one that's available, right? What prevents your document from having that status? So that is the opportunity you have available with you. Now let's look at now let's go to the concrete feedback. So the point here is that your presentation is going to matter. If you're going to charge premium rates for your work, your presentation is going to matter. And the presentation makes a difference between, let's say, a fresher level work and a partner level work, or you can say assistant manager level work versus, let's say, a legal head level work. Okay. Now, whose article should I give feedback on? So a lot of you, that includes Swati, Srijit, you are pricing shareholders agreement to imply this. You're using the article of where it says of this a certain percent of the value of the security at the time of its purchase or sale. But is there a share purchase agreement here? You've not listed that you are finding for share purchase agreement. If a pure shareholders agreement, if it doesn't have a share purchase component, then how will you calculate the security at the time of the value, the value of the purchase? So a shareholders agreement, one second. I was sharing Swati's document, no? Yeah. So the reason, one of the skills to test here is, it's not about just going and digging out what is applicable under the Stamp Act and just putting it here. The application of mind starts right there, which is the clause that will apply. Now tell me, how do you determine the value of the security at the time of purchase or sale when a shareholders agreement without a share purchase doesn't even have that component? You get it? And the more you think about it, you will find out new rationale as to why an agreement is stamped the way it is. Like, why? So shareholders agreement would become a normal agreement, because this is an agreement governing how different shareholders are going to deal with each other, how the governance of a company will work. If you combine it with a share purchase agreement, then you will stamp it as any other agreement, which is a shareholders agreement, and as a share purchase agreement. On the share purchase agreement, this will work, because there you will have the value of the security, right? When I purchase a share, I know that this much I have paid. Okay. Now, similarly for share subscription agreement, same thing will happen. Subscription and purchase are not the same. Can anybody tell me what's the difference? Subscription, yeah, I'll wait. Actually, tell me the difference. So all these will have the same. Did anyone send me your answer through chat? If you don't know, then say you don't know also, okay? Because otherwise I'll not know that you're trying to respond or not. Om Daga is saying articles of association. What about articles of association? So when shares are issued by the company for the first time ever, okay, that's when you call it a share subscription agreement, and somebody agrees to take those shares up. That's a share subscription agreement. A share purchase agreement is a purchase of shares from one person to another. Okay. Madhurima, subscribing shares through IPO, no, when they are first issued. IPO is undertaken by public companies when they intend to list, but share issuances are undertaken at different points in time by companies to raise capital. Okay, so all of those situations require a share subscription agreement. When a company undergoes IPO, at that time, you will not need a detailed like a share subscription agreement. You will have very standard articles of association, and you will purchase shares pursuant to those articles of association. The reason you have a share subscription and you have a share holders agreement and all of that is to regulate the way the affairs of the company will be governed. So we'll not go into more detail of it, but issue is different from purchase because the share is getting created for the first time. So we cannot equate it with that. Thus, share subscription agreement is just any other agreement category for the purposes of Stamp Act. Same, that's Article 5. Same for share holders agreement. The one that's different is share purchase agreement, okay, where it's written that it will be a certain percentage of the value of the security. Now you'll say that you might think that, when I purchase a share, what happens that a transaction based on the value of the security is happening, so it's getting stamped. But it's strange that share subscription is getting away, because even there the money is being paid to the company and there's a certain measurable value being paid. So that is not happening in shareholders, because the shareholders are just agreeing to a code of conduct that they will follow for the management of the company. But you will see that whenever there is a share subscription agreement also, and the company is issuing new shares, the articles will need to have a new share capital to be issued, and there will be a new issuance of shares, both of which actually carry their own stamp duty, which means amending your authorized capital will require ROC fees and stamp duty, and issuance of any physical share certificates will also carry stamp duty. It's not the case, it's not applicable to demat shares, but it will be applicable otherwise. It will not be the same as articles of association. Where is that coming from? Okay. The amount may turn out to be the same if you look at a particular Stamp Act, but I am talking about the principle. The principle is not the same, okay? So the amount may come out to be the same because different entries have the same amount prescribed, but that's very different from the real principle that we're looking at. Now, couple of other things that had to be clarified. So I'll go entry by entry, okay? So shareholders is taken care of, share subscription is taken care of. Okay, always remember that on many occasions in corporate deals, you will combine shareholders, share subscription, and share purchase. In which case you can treat it like that, like you stamp the shareholders part of it as any other agreement. Also stamp the share purchase part of it, like that whole agreement you will add shareholders plus share subscription plus share purchase. Over and above that, if there's an indemnity clause, there will be a separate stamping for the indemnity. There's an indemnity bond clause which says that it will be around 100 rupees. In Delhi, it's like that. You will find out in every state it's different. And then separately, there's an arbitration clause that also is stamped as a separate agreement, because Arbitration Act says that the arbitration is an independent and separable contract. If the rest of the contract fails, arbitration still stands. So people in transactional practice take the view that let's stamp this also independently. So you'll add up any other agreement for arbitration, same rate for shareholders, same rate for share subscription. 3 times you will add up. Indemnity rate you will add up, and then you will add up share purchase part. Share purchase as a separate entry, as most of you have correctly found. Okay. Able to follow so far? Corporate law gets very complicated. If you feel lost at any point of time, feel free to let me know. I will understand perfectly, okay, and I will repeat. And please tell me specifically if you are lost as to where you are lost. So Srijit, you made the same error because shareholders may you have assumed that there is a share purchase happening. Okay, just be mindful of that. I don't know if he's in class. You can add all the stamp duty together and purchase one set of stamp paper. You can also go, there are a couple of websites you can go on and get your document franked. You can go to a bank branch and get it franked. There's a website where you can create an account, pay the money, and then go to an SBI branch and get franked stamp paper. Because in high value transaction, you will not need 100 and 500 rupees stamp paper. You will need like a big amount. So franking means that the bank puts a stamp on it saying that this much stamp duty has been paid to government. The government has a tie-up or authorizes certain banks to put these stamps. Okay. So that means when the government stamps it, it means that actually that amount has been deposited by the purchaser of that with the bank, and the bank has paid it to the government. That is what the whole chain means. Now, hi Nishwita, are you intending to ask a question? Om, have you been able to follow? Lalit, did you follow? Articles of association of a company. You saw this? So Srijit has correctly pointed. 0.2% on share capital subject to a maximum of rupees 50 lakhs if the company has no share capital. Okay, this is not sounding clear. Why is this? So there are companies with no share capital and there are companies with share capital. Now the two have to be differently and clearly communicated. How will there be a maximum of rupees 50 lakhs if the company has no share capital? If it has no share capital, then you have to have one value, right? The 0.2% on share capital can get a cap of 50 lakhs. Because if the share capital goes very high, say 100 crores or something, I don't know, it might turn out to be, the value may turn out to be much more. So therefore, there's a maximum cap. If there's 1,000 crore share capital, for example, this 0.2% will get capped at 50 lakhs. That's probably what you intend to say. But your language is not saying that. I can open the Maharashtra Stamp Act and just quickly confirm. So we'll do this confirmation exercise for some situations, not for all. Where the company has no share capital or nominal share capital or increased share capital. 0.2% on share capital or increased share capital, as the case may be, subject to a maximum of rupees 50 lakhs. So how does the no share capital part work? So non-profit companies, no charge. This is leaving an open end, okay? Which is about when a company has no share capital, what happens? Because 0.2% requirement fails. So this is something where you'll have to research and find out case law, or you'll have to speak to the people who practice. Okay, but directly you are not able to calculate the amount. But the 0.2% will only happen where the company has a share capital, nominal or increased, right? Able to follow so far? Okay. Yes or no, please let me know in chat. Every exercise is very different, so we need to have a very tight grip on how we are discussing it. Okay, I'm going to go back to the solution that we were discussing. So back to Srijit's solution. In case you all have not been able to find out other heads also, please keep sending me your questions on chat so I can deal with it. Now, sale lead. Somebody just logged in or unmuted themselves. If you have a question, please let me know. Okay, I'm looking at your chat. My screen is not visible. Okay, yes, everybody's saying. Screen is visible hopefully right now. Srijit's solution is on the screen. Sale lead. For movable property, 3% of market value. Immovable property, 5% of market value. Okay. This is where Maharashtra. This is again, second one is in Karnataka. Now notice the difference. And this is 5% of the consideration agreed in this sale deed. So the whole challenge, now these are different, right? Market value of property and sale deed consideration agreed in the sale deed are different terms. So where, stamp authorities feel either there are circle rates specified in particular areas, okay, which will say that what is the market value of the property. The circle rate will tell you. So stamp duty will be based on that. Why? Because people try to undervalue or underquote the value of the transaction on the paper agreement, either to evade stamp duty or to evade tax also, because they want to do a cash transaction. Part transaction they want to do in cash, and partly only they want to record on the papers. So then what happens is there's a loss of stamp duty to the government, which is why they have kept this system that it should be on the market value rather than the consideration, because consideration parties can mess around with, but market value they cannot. However, notice here that it is still under Indian Stamp Act, it was initially intended to be on the consideration. Whether it is still retained in Delhi is the question to see. So let's see 23. Yep, it's still there. 5% of the consideration amount set forth in the instrument. Now you need to just confirm that this is there in the paper version, because sometimes there are errors in online versions. And when there are stakes, there are large amounts at stake, you don't want to make errors with this. Loan agreement. Article 5. So the Bombay one, this is for Bombay. Maharashtra Stamp Act is very detailed even with respect to Article 5. So it is saying 0.1% and all of that. But in case of Delhi, for example, there is just a specific amount. This is Article 6 you found for Delhi and Karnataka. Let's see Article 6. Somebody had mentioned you were struggling with the loan agreement. Could you ask your question while I go to Article 6 in Delhi? This is agreement to lease. This is not loan agreement. One second, sorry. Agreement relating to deposit of title deed or pledge. So this is the security amount. Srijit, loan agreement is not at 0.1%. Article 6, which you have pointed, are people able to follow? I'll just put out track changes. This is applicable to pledge and stamp duty is linked to the loan amount. Do you notice the difference? Let me just see this Maharashtra one also, Article 5H. Same thing here. We can confirm it, but it is likely to be the same thing here. I'll take you. This is Karnataka Act. Here, Article 6. See, agreement relating to deposit of. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. 1 second. Chrome. Here, agreement relating to deposit of title deeds. This is for Karnataka. Delhi one I had shown you. I'm not sure if my screen was casting that time. So this is the one, agreement relating to deposit of pawn or pledge. That is to say, any instrument evidencing an agreement relating to pawn or deposit of title deeds or pawn or pledge of movable property. And here the amount. Now the condition is related to whether the loan is payable on demand or on the period of term of the loan. But this is not stamp duty on the loan. This is stamp duty on the pledge, which is linked to the loan. The stamp duty on the loan will be again in Article 5 only, which are much simpler in Karnataka and in Bombay, in Delhi, but much more complex in. So it will be here 50 rupees in Delhi, assuming this to be the correct rate. Maharashtra will be all different. Article 5 gets very detailed there. So which is the clause that Srijit quoted? Srijit quoted Article 5H4. I'm just going to see Article 5H4. Creation of any obligation, right or interest, and having monetary value but not covered under any other article. This will work. So minimum amount 100 rupees and 0.1%. If loan amount is less than 10 lakhs. More than 10 lakhs or 10 lakhs, So more than 10 lakhs is 0.2% of the amount. This will be attracted. So notice how things get more expensive in Maharashtra. Transactions get more difficult. Yeah. Any observations or questions so far? So this is how you have to go about stamp duty. Let's look at the next few. Amrita, we are not using your draft, but are you able to follow? Somebody had a question on deed of mortgage for English mortgage also. What was the question? Okay, Amrita can follow. Somebody had a question on English mortgage. Please let me know. So English mortgage has two issues. Okay, one is the time of creation of the mortgage, where English mortgage means that there's a transfer of property from me to you, and that property is secure, as kept as security. And when I repay the loan that you have given me, at that time you will retransfer this back to me. So there are two transfers happening, which is the problem, because if your Stamp Duty Act does not give you any exemptions, then you will be paying stamp duty twice, and you will hate to do an English mortgage. You'd rather do, say, a mortgage by deposit of title deeds, right? So here, let's see what it says. Deed of mortgage for English mortgage. When possession of the property is given on mortgage, same as applied in point number 5, which is sale deed. When possession is not given, 0.5% of the amount, subject to maximum of rupees 10 lakhs. So English mortgage is based on whether possession is given or not given, right? Imagine if you take a loan from the bank for a house. What will the bank do? Let's say the bank does an English mortgage. So bank purchases the house in its own name. And then when you pay off the loan, you will get the house. That's the English mortgage. So possession is with whom? Possession is with you as the borrower. Possession is not given to the bank. So this will be the applicable part. Possession is not given. Okay? Remember this. English mortgage has a reconveyancing issue, so you must see how that works as well. I'll just show you in the next session, next part of the session. So a couple of people had asked me this question. There was Swati and I think Swati and Sakshi Jaiswal were asking something. You wanted to ask about the loan agreement in Karnataka. So it's a flat rate there. Let's see, Karnataka doesn't have too much going on in Article 5. If not otherwise provided for, is 200 rupees. So this is the part you need to go through. So I'll go from the top. So you have to see all of these, whether they're attracted or not. Swati, can you find which one works here? A, not attracted. B, not attracted. C, not attracted. D, no. Like this, you keep going. This is how you go about stamp duty, okay? No. E, no. F, no. G, no. H, no. I, no. 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 So look, if relating to, which is this agreement, if relating to advertisement or telecasting or broadcasting or of programs for promotion and development of business. So advertising relating agreements and broadcasting agreements have an amount of stamp duty written here. 1 for every 1,000, that is 0.1%, and it should not be less than 200. So 200 is the floor. Okay, and 0.1% is the minimum that's payable, and it has to be over 200 rupees. Here you have transfer, assignment or transfer. Okay, so if not otherwise provided for is where we are coming to 200 rupees. This is for the loan. That was Lakshmi or Swati, I don't remember, but is your question answered about? Vivek is pointing me to 611. Okay, let's see 611, Vivek. Oh yeah, there was this one about creation of a right also. Hang on. Let me just see 611. 611 is about pledge. Doesn't work, Vivek. 611 doesn't work. It's about pledge. When your loan is secured by a pledge, then it's on the pledge. Where is loan agreement written, Baba? This is related to the pledge. Look. Vivek, check 611. Not applicable. It's about a pledge. Check and confirm. Okay, I have shown this in the class a few times. I'm showing it right now also. If you find anything to the contrary, please let me know. Okay, Vivek? Okay, I hope everybody is clear. Look, this says agreement relating to deposit of title deeds. And then it says, now the stamp duty calculated on the deposit of title deeds or the pledge is related to the amount of the loan. But if I'm only doing a loan agreement without mortgage or without pledge, it's not stampable under this entry. Yeah, it says 611C. No, first you see the agreement. So this is how you have to read the law. Agreement relating to deposit of title deeds, pawn or pledge. That is to say an instrument evidencing an agreement related to the deposit of title deeds. Okay, so this is the broader subheading. This is one subheading. This is one subheading. This is the agreement subheading. This is the transaction related subheading. Now look at this. Where the loan or debt amount does not exceed rupees 10 lakhs. So it is about this agreement, and where the loan amount, this agreement is connected to the loan agreement, where the loan is less than 10 lakhs and where the loan is more than 10 lakhs. This is not for a pure loan without pledge. Vivek, this doesn't apply to a loan which doesn't have a pledge. This applies to a pledge deed and the connection of the pledge, the stamping on the pledge agreement or a deposit of title deeds of mortgage. That stamp duty is to be connected with the loan amount. But where that doesn't exist, it's not on the loan agreement. On the loan agreement, you have Article 5. Whether it is secured by pledge or not, it is still Article 5. On the pledge, you have a separate amount. Is it flat and clear for everybody? Vivek, is it clear for you? Okay. Sure, na? I'm not trying to dominate you or anything, okay? Just be, I'm trying to show you where the section applies. So just be clear about it. If you have any doubts, you can ask again also. I will not shout. Loan is not a bond. A bond is what? See, a promise to pay something if I break a covenant. That's like a bond, right? Indemnity or an employment bond. So it will not come within that, Amarnath. Okay. I'll go back to Srijit's solution. Now, I did not share the problem right now with everybody, but in case you notice something is missing or an agreement head itself is missing, then please point out, okay? Our employment agreement amount is fine. What is Article 9? Let me just check, okay? Article 9 is curious. This is an apprenticeship deed. That's 10 rupees. That is for apprentices. For this, you have to be covered within Apprentices Act. Otherwise, employment agreement will be in Article 5. Make no mistakes there, please. included the master servant relationship. What? 1 second. Apprenticeship deed, including every writing related to the service or tuition of any apprentice. My screen is not visible. Okay, sorry. 1 second. Look here. Apprenticeship deed, including every writing relating to the service or tuition of any apprentice, clerk, or servant placed with any master to learn any profession, trade, or so service or tuition. Apprenticeship deed, including every writing relating to the service or tuition of any apprentice, clerk, or servant placed with any master to learn any profession, trade, or employment. It's not any profession, it's not a contract of any profession, trade, or employment. You're missing the point of to learn any profession. So what is the characteristic feature of an intern or a trainee or an apprentice? It is for them to actually, it is to learn and work, as opposed to somebody who's an employee. Now you may have training programs in an organization, but the key role of an employee is to work and be in employment. Now this is not that is happening here. That is happening here. Agreement or memorandum of an agreement, if not otherwise provided for. Okay. Karnataka also 9 is like that. Apprenticeship deed. The only deal is that here the default is 200 rupees and there it is 100 rupees. And in Delhi also this is 50 rupees, not 10 rupees. So be careful with that. Now the screen was visible, right? Jyoti and Vivek, I made the screen visible when you guys pointed out. Now I'm going to go back to Srijit's draft. Yes, Swati, if loan is with pledge, it will attract separate stamp duty for loan, which is at the rate of a normal agreement. For the pledge, it will be a separate stamp duty, which will be based on the amount of the loan, and this will be on 0.1% or 0.2% as per the stamp act we were looking at, based on the amount. Now you would have Srijit's solution on display. Employment agreement is under Article 5 in the current acts. Okay, Jyoti. So the purpose of the exercise was to match popular agreements with the stamp duty nomenclature under stamp duty laws. Okay, so pledge and hypothecation are usually dealt with together or in similar articles, but they can be under different places also. Now, let's look at this. Okay, so there are two. 1 second. Employment agreement we discussed, English mortgage we discussed. Before the session ended, I wanted to show you reconveyancing for English mortgage. I'll do that and then move on to the other ones. So English mortgage, let me see if I can find that provision here. Here. So this is, it may not be there in every state, okay, which means that you will have to pay on it as a conveyance, but here it is written. Reconveyance in any other case 100 rupees. This is Karnataka. So English mortgage, pay back the loan and you reconvey the property, only 100 rupees, which is great. Who's unmuted suddenly? Sorry. Okay. Parul, what are you asking? Discuss the addendum to agreement. Okay. Hang on, Parul. So reconveyance is in any other case 100 rupees. Right? So I'm looking at your addendum one. So one is you can call it as a normal agreement. Second is you can call it So we saw cancellation, right? Let me see what is amendment. Amendment would usually just be under as per a new agreement. But let me see, I'll search in Maharashtra. Which are the stamp duties which are the heads you come across with respect to this? Counterpart is here. Counterpart, I'll quickly show you. Here, 25. Counterpart is usually very clear. This is Indian Stamp Act. Anywhere else it will be clear. Here also it's clear. See, 22. Parul, you searched for addendum and you didn't find, I believe. Let's see Maharashtra. Yeah, it's executed like a new agreement. I'm checking if they have something for amendment of an agreement, because that's really like an amendment, no? This is a quick search, but usually you should scan through the whole thing in addition to performing this. There's nothing here. But we need to see variation and stuff also. Or we can see novation, but novation is not there. So by default, it will be like a new agreement. Okay. Because parties are agreeing to something new which will be governed under the old agreement. So it's a new instrument and it is not under any other category. Okay. Just going through it once again to find out where it may fit. Here also it's if not otherwise provided for, it will be here. Let's see here. E. Yep. MOU is also same, Parul. Agreement. It's written also in the words of Article 5. Memorandum, it says. Agreement or memorandum of an agreement. MOU is usually an agreement directly. Okay. So same 200 in Karnataka, 50 in Delhi, like that. We'll go to the other clauses that were there. Where is this? Okay, I'm using Srijit's because it's clean and presentable, so it's just easier. I don't know if he's in the class today. I don't think he's in the class. Srijit is not in the class. Okay. Employment agreement done. Deed of English mortgage done. I showed you the amount for reconveyance. If you don't find any such exception or any such reduced amount for reconveyance, then conveyance and both transactions will separately be called conveyancing, right? So it will be stamped twice, which will be a problem for banking and finance industry to use English mortgage in that state. Then scheme of amalgamation. 10% of the market value of the shares and amount of consideration paid. Okay, so this is one way of determination here. 3% on the market value of the property of the transferor company located within the state of Karnataka. This is a pretty interesting one, right? This is for Karnataka. So somewhere it is market value of shares, somewhere it is market value of property of transferor company. So of the property of transferor, meaning one company which is giving the property to the surviving company. So in a merger, when two companies merge into a third, or one company merges into another, so it is saying that the property of the company which is merging into the next company which will survive, so that part of the property of the first company which is in Karnataka will be stamped on the market value of the property. So when there's market value written, then it's not even your book value. So there will be some determination that will happen. There will be some calculation work. So let's see let's just quickly see the amount and then we look at hypothecation also. This is Karnataka. It was saying Indian stamp bag not provided for. Let's just quickly check why is that the case. Yeah. It is not there here. That's correct. Good finding, Srijit. Good finding, Srijit. Now let us look at it here. Sorry, merge amalgamation. %3 on the market value of the property of the transfer company, or an amount equal to 1% of the aggregate value of shares issued or allotted in exchange, or otherwise. And in case of a subsidiary company, shares merged or cancelled with parent company. And in addition, the amount of consideration, if any, paid for such amalgamation, whichever is higher. So your rule is whichever is higher. Srijit, have you written the whole thing? I don't think you wrote the whole thing. Srijit hasn't written the whole thing. I don't know why. This is Article 24(1). So two rules are there. You have to calculate it based on both. So 3% on market value of the property of the transfer company which is transferred, or 1% of the value of shares allotted, the new shares that are being allotted in exchange. Okay. Plus any money that's paid for the amalgamation. Some have a cash plus a share deal. Like you'll get shares of a new company in exchange for what you already have. Plus you'll get some cash. So it is 1% of that. Now, whichever is higher, that will be the stamp duty. Okay. Now we'll just do that with respect to Karnataka. Delhi, we saw there was nothing, and Bombay will not see. You can find it out on your own. So hypothecation, let's look. So here it's saying pawn or pledge, and in some cases we have seen that there was a clear mention of hypothecation. Here it's not written. One second. So this part is not applying to hypothecation. Also notice, okay, when you see pledge, instruments of pawn or pledge of goods or jewels where the loan or debt is up to 1 lakh. So then there's no problem. Lakshmi is saying 27. 27, let's see. I saw further charge. Yeah, I'm just looking why, because it's saying any instrument imposing a further charge on mortgaged property. But a normal charge, normal hypothecation is not a further charge on the mortgaged property. Because when you have a standard deal, a loan agreement, for example, a mortgage is on the immovable property and the hypothecation is on the movables. It's not on the property on which there's already a mortgage. Let's see Article 34. Yeah, I'm checking 34. It refers to 34. So let's see what it says. Mortgage deed not being. Okay, so there basically it referred back to mortgage deed for the hypothecation. Here, this is the one. Mortgage deed not being all of these. For hypothecation, now unfortunately the heading is a mismatch, but this is what is happening. This is actually the one, 34D. This is very good, Ram Prasad. Excellent. So 20 for every 10,000, which is again 0.2%. 10 for every 10,000 is 0.1%, where it does not exceed 10 lakh. Okay. If the loan or debt is repayable on demand. But the problem is, what about not being payable on demand? If the loan is payable on expiry of time, then what happens? So we have to see that. This is for a demand loan. I don't know whether a standard loan will come under this, because those loans are repayable as per a certain time period. It's not repayable on demand unless the loan is worded that way. Okay. Anyway, let's see what Bombay says. Here it is very clear. See, Bombay is very clear. 0.1%, 0.2%. Agreement related to deposit of title deeds, pawn, pledge, or hypothecation. Very, very clear. Okay. So here it's clear. The only problem in Karnataka here in 34D is that it is referring to demand repayment. Otherwise, it may be that 27 applies. Okay, I'm not very sure right now. We need to figure out. But the whole thing is that even if 27 applies, you go back to 34 only for the amount of the further charge. Same duty as subclause D of 34. So let's just see 34D once again. Subclause D. It's this only then. Even here it becomes the same if you look at 27. So it's going to be this for any kind of hypothecation. A parity has been maintained between for hypothecation for loans payable on demand or for other types of loans like those repayable upon expiry of time, like those loans. Okay. Now next question, next document we have to look at is hypothecation done, scheme of amalgamation done. License we discussed. Which screen is there here? Okay. License we discussed, how to identify stamp act and stamp duty for a particular contract. We have discussed this in the last briefing session itself. If one party is based in Mumbai and another in Bangalore, where should you purchase a stamp paper? Any thoughts on this for anybody? Delhi Act hypothecation, let me quickly see. Delhi Act is very simple. If you don't find anything fitting in, then it is any other agreement. So in Delhi, okay, so Vivek, two things are. You remember we saw section, one sec, there was a question from Ram Prasad on how to identify stamp duty in Delhi for hypothecation. I'll quickly take him there. So one is other agreement clause could be possible one, and the other one is here. This is Delhi. Mortgage deed not being these agreements when a collateral or auxiliary or additional or substituted security or by way of further assurance for the above mentioned purposes where the principal or primary security is duly stamped. This is for auxiliary security. This is not directly covered. So this is not directly covered here. This is for a collateral security. Auxiliary security. I'll check. I'm not very sure whether this will get covered here. If you have the only place where we need to check it is where there's already a mortgage and over that you're doing a hypothecation. But if you're doing a pure hypothecation without a mortgage, this will not happen. Then you'll have to go to Article 5. When you have a mortgage plus a hypothecation, what you need to see is whether this gets covered. When the mortgage is stamped and then you say that this is my collateral or additional security and therefore I will do it at 0.2%. Let's just see what they are doing it for pledge, because pledge and mortgage are similar usually. For pledge, what was the value? 0.5%. What is this? Om, you are sharing a link, but your link is incomplete. Okay, so let's get back on hypothecation in Delhi. Okay. Hypothecation. We don't have any other confusion for any other agreement. Om, I want to use the link, but it is I'm not able to see the whole thing. The whole thing is not hyperlinked. We'll talk about it offline. Now, the next part was about a property being located in, so one party in Mumbai, another in Bangalore, then what to do. Srijit has given an interesting answer. In certain agreements, the expense of bearing the stamp paper shall be borne by the maker. But this is not the correct answer. The question is which state law applies for this purpose. It's not about who has to do this. Okay, stamp paper does not expire. Srijit, fine. How can you execute multiple copies? Each party to the contract will sign separate but identical copies of the same contract and stamp it as a counterpart. What are the consequences of insufficient or no stamping? So it is impounding of the document and penalty of 10 times the applicable stamp duty. Also cite statutory provision. Now let's see here. So I had read this out for you about when stamp paper expires. Let's go back. Not expires, about where to execute. Section 3 stated everything. Like we can read the Maharashtra Stamp Act and we'll come to know what is happening on chat. Vivek, you are saying stamp valid for 6 months. You have to see two things, okay? One is the stamp paper, so the stamp rules. In some states, the stamp rules may say otherwise, and they may have a validity on the a duration for the validity of stamp paper. Otherwise, you will not have an expiry because you paid the duty. I am not aware of the Supreme Court judgment, but this stamp valid till 6 months is not universal because it came from the stamp duty rules. It didn't come from anywhere else. So there are states which have stamp duty rules. I can open and show you. One sec, let me clear this one out. Let me clear the section 3 one out first. Every instrument in Schedule 1 which not having been previously executed is executed in the state on or after the date of commencement. So if this or every instrument which not having been executed by any person is executed outside the state and then relates to any property situated or to any matter or thing to be done in the state and is received in the state. So if an executed copy, either the agreement is executed in that state. So when does the agreement get executed? When the last person signs, right? When the first person signs, the agreement is not executed. When the last person signs, it is executed. Second, when it is brought in that state. So that is what will determine. Now, one party is in Bangalore and one party is in Mumbai. Where do you stamp it under? Where will you keep the agreement? If you keep it in both places, then you might need to stamp it as per both the laws applicable, right? But let's say the first signature is by Karnataka person, goes to Mumbai, Mumbai person signs it, it gets executed. Karnataka Stamp Act applies. Copy is sent back to Mumbai. Okay. So now if it's a counterpart, it's a different thing. If it's the full executed copy and you are also keeping it in Mumbai, then Maharashtra Stamp Act will also apply. Now what happens to it? How do you work on this? Now, if it's a document executed in Karnataka and your Maharashtra Stamp Act imposes a different level of duty, then additional stamp duty will have to be payable in Maharashtra. You can attach that stamp paper or get it additionally franked in Maharashtra. For the Karnataka copy, it is fine. Okay, that is the proper way to do it. Right? Clear, everybody? Differential duty needs to be paid in the state where the agreement is brought in to keep a copy. If you send back a counterpart, then you will check, okay, counterpart in Karnataka, let's say it's 50, now counterpart in Maharashtra, is it 50 only? Then it's fine. No differential duty will have to be paid. Okay. Now I want to see if we can get Bombay stamp rules. And then we can see the expiry part. In the meanwhile, I want to invite you to share what have you learned from this exercise. I'm pretty sure like we were all pretty scattered and now we've had a long discussion on it. So I'm pretty sure you would have some sense, like a new sense of things. And so there would have been some learnings also. So please share on chat as to what you learned. Presentation is important, Amarnath. Okay, got it. What else? Other than presentation, yeah, I get that. Okay, and I want to put up. So one of you must send us the corrected draft so that we can publish this on the blog. Trust me, you will get a lot of visitors, people asking you questions, but do it properly based on the discussion. Somebody has to send us an edited draft. Yeah. What have you learned? Okay. Amrita, you've learned research methodology. Okay. Could you follow the process where I was going provision by provision and sort of figuring out what will be applicable, ruling out irrelevant options? Ram Prasad, okay, apprenticeship deed is not employment agreement. Awesome. Insight on stamp duty assessment for Swati Patil. Amrita, what did you learn? Research methodology with respect to Stamp Act. Okay. Parul, applicable stamp duties and proper execution of document. Madhurima, fear about calculation of stamp duty was made easy. Good. Excellent. What else? Can you calculate stamp duty easily now? Now when you have to submit the answer, Nishwita, what has been your learning? Are you there in the class? You were having trouble submitting your document online. Nishwita is not there. Okay. Now, if you write about this, you will not write like, you don't have to write in the jargon and legalese present in the Stamp Act. You will say this is the reason, this is what will be applicable, and this is the answer. So you'll say 0.2% where the loan is less than this much if the loan is more than this. Like you will not give in long words, long phrases. It's just absolutely unnecessary, right? Om got it. Thank you so much. So Vivek, I found a provision on stamp on the 6 month provision is there in Bombay stamp rules, but it's in a very different connection. It is about if your stamp paper is itself not proper. I'll show you here. There's a 2 month provision and there's a 6 month provision. What happened? Now suddenly something else. 6 months. So this is the provision. When an application is made for payment under Chapter 5 of the Act of an allowance, in respect of which stamp has been spoiled or misused, or which has no immediate use, then this 6 month thing gets applicable. What is Chapter 5 of the Stamp Act in Maharashtra? So it is in specific cases, not always. An allowance for spoiled stamps and relief under Section 47. So let's see what are spoiled stamps. The stamp paper on any paper has been, the stamp has been spoiled by writing or other ways. So now it also said unused. And you can make allowance. So let's just see unused. What does it say here? Yeah, within 6 months you can return to collector. Yeah, that is different thing. Huh? But you can use it in future also. So we are discussing the 6 month rule, and we were saying that you can basically purchase stamp paper and hold it as long as you don't spoil it. If it becomes unreadable, the problem is that how will the court or the proper officer under stamp law know as to what is the amount you've paid? So you don't want all those mess ups, but otherwise you can use your stamp paper so long as it is legible. Okay, so you can buy more stamp paper, provide for it in advance. The reason we ask this question is so that you can identify whether you can buy stamp paper ahead of time and just store it rather than always keeping on buying new stamp paper. Okay, with that we complete the session. If there is anything else you want to share, feel free to share or ask. We have another 4 minutes and we have another 8 minutes, but I think we'll complete. So we'll complete in the next 3-4 minutes only. Any other questions you have? Any requests on future sessions, let me know. The reason I'm asking you is because I'm asking you to share your requests also is because there are many similar contracts and I don't need you to keep going on over them again and again and again. So we can tweak some part of the direction of the course based on your requests also. Ram Prasad, no, you will need to look, okay? There are multiple stamp acts, so we cannot be conclusive about every stamp act. You must look at Karnataka stamp rules also. And guys, in any rules, if you find about expiry of stamp paper, let us know. It'll be a good insight to have. We have not done exhaustive research, and people don't do it unless they have to work on it. I'm just quickly looking at Karnataka stamp rules now that you pointed out. Karnataka stamp rules are not available in full here. Let me see if it is there. It's a part page, yeah. It's not a complete page on the government site. So you'll have to look at it, okay? Okay, everybody, I am complete with the session. I can declare it as complete. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any recommendations, let me know. And thank you for sharing what you learned from the session. The second part of the session was to be on writing assignments, but considering we're out of time and we had to discuss the stamp duty part at length, we can give it a miss. And on Friday, there is a detailed session by Ramanuj on writing assignments. So I'll suggest that you attend that one and take feedback or take inputs on how to structure and improve your articles wherever you're struggling. If you want, you can take the next couple of minutes to point out to me what are the areas you're struggling with and what are the areas you have developed on in writing assignments. Okay. And look, don't ignore this part. You might feel that this is boring, it's not connected to the course, but this is a key part of sharing your expertise with the world. So if you want to share about writing assignments, where you stand, what have you learned so far? A few months have passed for each of you. What have you learned so far, and what are the next level of learning that you want? So that you walk into that session with an idea that this is what I'm going to learn today. Otherwise, you may not be prepared, so the value you extract is lesser in that case. Okay, quickly, 2 minutes. Let me know. What have you learned so far about writing assignments over these months, and what do you want to learn next? I'll share it with Ramanuj in advance so that he can also keep it in mind. Okay? Quickly type online. What do you want to go for next with respect to writing assignments? How do you want to improve your writing next? Where are you struggling? Okay, Ram Prasad, how to be precise? What else? More questions. Clear questions. What's the next level for you to improve your writing assignments? Come on, quickly. We need to close the session. You guys have things to do. You gotta have dinner, whatever. Complete your day. So quickly. For the rest of you, why are you not participating? You're not in the session. You're not logged in, or what? I'm going to ask this in the WhatsApp group. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Punctuations, Rajesh, good. Rajesh, you've been stuck on punctuations and spellings. Go beyond. We already answered some questions on punctuations. Amrita is asking, is it like a research paper? Okay, that's a good question. Can be addressed. Not now, but on Friday. So I'm going to relay these questions to Ramanuj. No problem, Amrita. Good. All right, so I'm going to declare this session as complete. See you again next week. You guys will have a session on Friday. Please do attend it. And all the best. Have a great week ahead. Keep sharing your learnings. If you're not learning anything, not applying anywhere, share that too. We will have calls with you. There were some people who had shared earlier that they were not learning anything useful that they could apply, and we made calls to them. Okay, so please let me know, guys, if you feel that way, because our intention is that this is relevant to your career. And we derive satisfaction not when you say the class is great, but when you actually find openings and avenues to apply this learning in your career and jobs and with your clients. Cheers, everyone. Take care. See you next week. Bye.